Hello, welcome back to Valley Boys TCG. CK here, or Kage CK if you're familiar with the Discord. So, I decided to come back and do something a little different today. I've been putting out a lot of gameplay videos, I've been playing a couple different decks, and I decided one thing that I think I wanted to put out there, kind of like a new series of video, if you will, or just a different approach. I do like doing like the blog style, like when I talked about building your community, which if you haven't seen that, definitely check that video out. I do encourage you all to go out there and build your locals. I mean, Discord, don't get me wrong, the unofficial Discord server is a great place to find games and find other kaiju enthusiasts, but having the locals and physically playing with people and interacting, it's a different thing. But today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to talk about how to play a deck. Now, there are lots of different decks to play now. We're 3 sets in, which isn't crazy in TCG life, but there's now a good variety, and everybody kind of has their own play style and their way to play. Even similar decks can be played very differently. But today I wanted to start with one of my personal favorites and a deck that came out of set 2, Biollante. Now, Biollante is primarily a defensive deck because the first 2 levels don't allow you to move, so you have to be very strategic in how you play the deck. So today I'm going to show you my profile, but I'm also going to show you some of the combos and some of the things that this deck can do. Now, there are of course different ways to build it, but this is just my version of the deck, how I play it, how I built it, and how I'm comfortable with running it. Now, the main strategy for this deck is obviously to win by counter. You want to counter them the 4 times and get your counter victory. You can invade. There are instances where you can win through invasion, but the primary strategy of the deck is basically stay defensive and keep countering them. So let's go ahead and look at the profile, and then we'll talk about some combos. So as we get started, let's go ahead and go with the deck profile first. So first, of course, the monster deck. So obviously we're going to be, stage 1 is going to be the Biollante Rose form. If this card is in your monster deck, at the start of the game, it will be played in zone 5. This card cannot advance nor invade. So that's the important thing. Biollante stays where it is. Same effect is on our 2. So our rank 2 also says this card cannot advance nor invade. So our first 2 forms are very, very defensive. But it does have enter, play 1 tentacle token in a zone adjacent to this card. So because you'll be stuck at 5, you're going to be playing 1 tentacle token in either zones 6 or 4. So for our 3, we chose this plant beast form. This is the one that says opponent's turn, awakening 6. If your opponent has a strategy card in play, this card cannot be countered by 40,000 or lower counter power. Instead, it only moves as if it were countered. So, especially now with set 3 adding bases, strategy cards are much more likely to play. So I still like leaving this one as my 3. And then for my 4, I like to run the big exploding one. This is the plant beast form. This is the 1-step one. It has a 55,000 threat. So one of the biggest printed threats, but it has opponent's turn. At the beginning of the counter phase, for the rest of the turn, double the counter power of all your opponent's battle cards in the same column as this card. So it is definitely a target for their big monsters or their big battle cards to be set up across from it. So that there is our monster deck. Now, going into the actual main deck, we'll start with the actual monster cards here. And surprise, surprise, we're running a mostly Biollante package. So we're running the rest of the 3 of the rank 1s, the rest of the 3 of the rank 2s, and the rest of the 3 of the rank 3s that we are already running. So, spoiler alert, we are running 20 monster cards. Now, you may be asking, if this is a deck that plays for counter, why would you want to play so much rage? Wouldn't you want to play more battle cards? The important thing to note here is we do not want to be countered ourselves. Starting off at 5, we are very, very likely to be almost immediately countered. If you're going second as Biollante, there's a good chance if they open with Condor, you're going to be starting the game your first turn at your rank 2. That's just how the game usually goes for me in my experience. But that's why we play a good amount of rage, so we can try to stay there. We do play 4 of the other rank 3 Biollante Plant Beast form. This one has enter. If you have a strategy card in play, choose one of your opponent's zones, destroy all of your opponent's rank 5 or lower battle cards in that zone and zones adjacent to it. So a good piece of removal in the deck. Move a little Biollante over. Then we're going to run the rest of the Plant Beast forms here. The SR. We're going to run 3 more of these just to finish off our set there. And then I do run 1 of the 2-step one. I really don't want to waste too many two-step spaces in the deck on the monster cards because we aren't really using two steps to invade too often here. We're not really invading. We don't want to have to invade, but just another Biollante name. We want to have plenty of Biollante names. Just fits the theme of the deck. This one does have a pretty decent ability for late game. Enter, play as many rank 4 or lower battle cards with evolution from your discard pile to each of this card's adjacent zones. So let's say, you know, you're at 7, you enter there, and you can play up to 3 evolution cards. If you're at 5 still, well, then you only have 2 spots available. But, you know, there are certain zones where you can get more value out of that. I'll start moving these over. And then you'll notice that is only 17 currently. So instead of maxing out on these, I decided to swap and just put 3 blue Godzilla cards. These are just to pitch for rage. We're never going to enter these. We chose the 89 because it has Biollante on the art. That's really the only reason to run this one. You can run any invade 1 or step 1 rage card or monster card here. I'm just running these 3 here as extra utility, just so I don't have to max out and waste my 2-step, because some of our key battle cards are 2-step. So let's go ahead and look at the battle cards. So we are running a pretty solid Destroya package. I think Destroya is one of the best evolution, and Destroya with Biollante just pairs so well. So we're running 3 of the aggregate forms. I know you think we should run 4, but 3 is fine for me, especially because a 4 rank is so easy to pop. We are running 4 of the flying form. I think flying 4 comes more in handy. So we're running 4 of the flying form, and then I am running a split here, 3 of the perfect form. That this one enters if this card was played through evolution. Choose 1 strategy named Godzilla vs. Destroya in your discard pile. If you have 1 or fewer strategy cards in play, activate the chosen card. Obviously, we're going to be playing those strategy cards because they're very good with the Destroya package, because we're going for the counter. So the rank 3, very good. So we're only running 3 of these because we have to get there through evolution. And then I am running 1 of the starter deck Destroya perfect form because 2-step, but 13k counter power, just a vanilla 13k, very big, probably one of the biggest just vanilla cards in the game. So that's our Destroya package. Then to pair with Destroya, we are also running, of course, a Biollante package. So I only run 2 of this Rose form. I use the Rose form from the second set just because it's a slightly bigger one. Still has the Evolution 7. So 2 of those roses. We'll put that here. Running 2 of this Plant Beast form. It's a 2-step. Of course, 2 steps. We're limited on space. 2 of these Plant Beast form. This one has Enter. If you have 2 or more cards with Biollante in your discard pile, return all cards in your opponent's discard pile to their deck, then shuffle. Very good for countering Rage or like Gam, turning off their ability to Gam, and turning off their ability to 23 and me. The Ghidorah rank 23 hates to see this card hit the board because it completely resets them. Also, it is a good way to counter Sacred Guardian Beast because they need to get monster cards in their discard pile to tuck underneath their effects. So good way to counter them early is to get those out of discard. And then its second enter ability, enter, play 2 tentacle tokens in zones adjacent to this card. So you get 2 tentacles to the side. Pretty easy to do. I do have a tentacle deck to the side. I take with me about 4 or 5 tentacles. I rarely ever need more than 3, but you know, I take the extras just in case I need them. You'll never need more than 5. Realistically, you should never need more than 5 because your monster will take 1, and then let's say you play this one, you'll get 2 more there. Play another one somewhere. You're gonna need, I don't think I'll ever need more than 5, but anyway, then I do play 1 of the set 1 Biollante Plant Beast form. This one, if you have a Biollante card with evolution in your discard pile, you can play this card from your hand with its rank reduced by 2. That's the only stipulation for getting it. So you can play it for 5. If you get one of these discarded, you can drop this for 5. With a play cost of 5 or a rank of 5. If you have the rank 4 in discard, you can play this as a rank 5 and then goes back to a 7, but we like to have it for enter, return all cards in your discard pile to the deck, then shuffle. So in case you need to recycle, we have one of those. And then the last battle card we're going to play here is what makes the deck so tricky, so annoying, so strong, really. This is where you have the Biollante Stun, the Godzilla 1994. I am running the full 4 of this one because this one just does so much work. This one has, at the beginning of your end phase, if this card is in a zone adjacent to your monster card, one of your opponent's monster cards at 40,000 or less threat level retreats back 1 zone. Now that is important because it's at the beginning of your end phase, which means it's after counter. So if your opponent gets to zone 8, you counter them back to zone 3, and you're still, locked down at zone 5. 2 of these on board, you could reset your opponent back to zone 1. That is the big play you kind of want to do with this. And because Biollante sits at 5 and doesn't invade or advance, playing these down on zones 4 and 6, pretty easy to do because you're not moving, you're not advancing, you're not invading. So this is almost always active and very rarely is at a risk of being stomped. So of course we got to run 4 because that is the main part of this stun deck here. So you'll see we're running 20 battle cards here. So 20 monster, 20 battle. That leaves us our 10 strategy cards here. So let's go ahead and push this aside so we can look at the strategy cards. Okay, so looking at our strategy cards, we're going to be running 3 of the Godzilla vs. Destroya because we are running the Destroya package, and this is just so good paired into it. It is a 2-step, so we're limited on how many we can run, but this one always online because it's a 3 and we're at 5, so we can always play it. Your turn, if you have a Destroya battle card in your zones, increase the total counter power by 10,000. So a 10k boost, very, very strong. We're going to run 3 of those. If we had space to run the full 4, we would have, but we see it enough because we play it early, and then if we evolve, we get to pull it right back out of discard, so it gets cycled well enough. 3 is enough. So we do play 1 of the rank 6 Godzilla vs. Destroya. This one is destroy all your opponent's battle cards in zones 1 through 5, so it wipes the back row. We only play 1 because it is a rank 6, and we can't play it off the rip because we're at 5, but if we get it in discard and we evolve into the old Destroya, we can still find a way to have it see some light. Now, these next ones, I'm a little torn on. I might change these now. I did have 1 scale attack, just because I think if your opponent has 5 or more rage, reduce it by 3 is pretty big. Not so much anymore. I think this is probably going to get cut for something, as well as the Yakatsugi. So I did put 1 Yakatsugi in the deck because I wanted to test it out. Start a turn getting the 4 Biollante or the 4 Destroya, and then ending turn being able to evolve right off the rip, potentially getting an early evolution turn 1. If they do a double step and you have the 4s, you can get it right off the rip. Just a decent little option here. You'll almost never destroy your own base because you're not invading or advancing, but your opponent may, depending on how much you're countering them. But it's a tech piece. It may get cut. I'm not sure. I may cut both of those for more of the Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Now, this one was my main source of removal in the deck. In case you're unfamiliar with it, choose one of the following. Destroy one of your opponent's rank 4 or lower battle cards, or if you have 4 or more battle cards in your zones, choose one of your opponent's zones and destroy all battle cards in that zone and zones adjacent to it. So, pretty good. Being able to, basically it's a mini Burning Godzilla's Rampage. I could run that, but you're almost never going to do it. Now the thing is, it's a 5. We're at 5, so we can play this turn 1 even. Because we have the advantage of getting tokens out and things like that, getting the tentacle tokens out, this does give us a little more ability to get it online a lot easier. Definitely probably the better removal to run in this deck, because again, if you're stuck at 5, you can only basically run removal cards that are 5 or lower. I know I have this Godzilla vs. Destroya that's a 6, but it's because we can play it off of the other perfect form. And then the last but not least, we are running 3 Gravity Beam. Hand removal, so good in this deck because it makes it much harder for your opponent to rage up enough to not be countered, or it also slows them down from countering you, just disrupting their hand, disrupting their plays. Very good, especially if you're going for a big counter play and you need stuff to stay on board. I mean, just Gravity Beam, I think, is just still a really, really good card, and kind of blue's only access to hand reduction. But yeah, that is the main profile here. Like I said, these two, Yakatsugi may stay, but I'm pretty sure Scale Attack will be swapped for another Godzilla versus Megagarius there. That is the main swap I think I would do, because you'll notice that I don't have a lot of removal in this deck, which could be an issue if you're going against the mirror or somebody else who can counter you. It's very, very tricky to remove their stuff unless they're in the back row. You're basically going for very, very big strategy, a very big counter strategy here. Now you'll also notice that I'm not running any GAM, and I'm not running any King of the Monster in this build. I used to have King of the Monster because of the rage, and GAM is a Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, I should say. In case you're not familiar, GAM is Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. GAM is a very good card to run, but you'll almost never get the second ability to, when invading Tuck, to reduce their rage, because you can invade. 9 times out of 10, you are staying on 1 and 2. That's your game plan, to never get here, but if you have to, you're probably switching to the invasion strategy anyway. But because I'm not invading, GAM doesn't feel as good. King of the Monsters works okay sometimes, but again, they have to get to 8 for you to get that online, so I'm kind of iffy on running those. I'm very happy with how it does with just the blue package. I don't think I would really change it. I maybe find space for more perfect forms. But as it runs right now, I think I'm very happy with it. I don't want to go down on the rage, because rage is very important, and we're going to talk about it now. Now let's go ahead and dive in and look at how I would play, or how I prefer to play this deck. Alright, so when playing this deck, the main thing you want to do is basically get a bunch of big bodies out to counter them, and try to make your Biollante last as long as possible. So your early pitch things are probably going to be to go ahead and get as much rage on board as you can. So you're going to want to rage up, get your rage out there to be able to stay, to stave off the counter, right? You don't want to be countered. You want to stay on board as long as possible. Your ideal situation is to let them just spend your first few turns kind of raging up, let them advance through the board as much as possible. You can hit them with a few things like, let's say, Gravity Beam to slow them down from doing too much. But what you eventually want to do is be able to get some Destroyers out, evolve your way up to the perfect form, or even if you have the smaller forms, you can get the early counter by doing the aggregate and playing Godzilla vs. Destroyer, but if you get perfect form and a Destroyer out, that's a 20k just right there. Another thing is, if they do counter you, your rank 2 does provide you a token. And ways you can power that up is, let's say they get to 7, you play another Plant Beast here, and now you're sitting at a pretty big board here. You're looking at, with just what we have here on board, you have 14k here in the back row, 24, 34k right there, which can counter almost anything if they have no rage. So you want to stay as long on the board as you can in your rank 1 and 2, and then just build up. Now, when they get to 7, aside from playing the Plant Beast form, what you want to get is 2 of these Godzilla 94s in hand, because playing them here, stomping the token out, you don't need a token there. Getting these on board next to your Biollante and just raging up and staying here is such a crucial thing, because you'll get those counters and then you push them back. Let's say your opponent gets up to 7 or 8. You have 2 of these on board, you will push them back and then knock them back 2 zones to potentially put them at 2 or even 1, depending on where your counter is. Obviously, you can't play these at 7, so if you only get 1, you can still knock them back to 3. You get 2 on board, and they're at 7, you're knocking them back to 2. Best case scenario, they made it up to 8, and you're able to get 2 of these on board right afterwards, knock them all the way back to 1, and huge at slowing them down. They can't play strategies as easy. Another big thing is that if they're hiding anything in the back row, trying to save something, because usually 1 and 2 is the safe space, not anymore, because if you counter them, it's counter first and then the retreat. So if they have something on 1 and 2, you push their monster back and then they'll stomp on those. So that's the main thing you want with the Biollante, is to just keep raging up, rage as much as possible, as often as possible, to make sure that you are big enough to stave off any sort of advancement. That is basically your basic plan with Biollante. There's nothing too flashy. There's no big invasion play that you want. You want to disrupt your opponent's play as often as possible. Gravity Beam is a very crucial part to that. And then make yourself big. Again, Godzilla versus Destroya is the best way to really buff your guys up. You know, your board can get pretty crazy pretty fast. If you are, you know, get a big boy Destroya. I've had games where I've had the big Destroyas out in multiple forms. You can imagine, especially with evolution, getting to these through evolution is kind of your key thing, which is why Yakatsugi is not a bad idea. Now, just looking at this board state here, this is not hard to do. And you're looking at 12, 25, 35, 45, 55, 63 right there on board, able to counter almost anything in the game. If you are able to hit them, if they try to go for the big rage, you can always hit them with that scale attack in case you are keeping scale attack in the deck. That's why I have it in here, just in case I am going against something that's gonna like rage 7. That's where that card comes in handy, but it also, you know, depends on what you're going up against. I will say, you know, Destroya has been a very big part of Blue Evolution and Blue Counter for the longest time, but I think this Godzilla 94 is the MVP of the deck because it pairs so well with the Rose form because you're not moving, you can get the double pushback. Huge abilities there. Now, I will also say I've toyed with the idea of putting the Godzilla Jr. package in here. I would like to get that done, but Destroya has been so good since set 1. I just think it's the best way to run it. But again, this is just a guide for how I prefer to play the deck, how I built it, how I see it running for me. You may find more luck running the Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, right? Running more GAMs, running more Gravity Beams, running the Godzilla Jr. package. Maybe you don't like the Biollante package at all. You can replace him completely with Godzilla Jr. It just depends on your play style and what you prefer. Now, like I said, pretty standard. Nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary for this Biollante Stun or Biollante Stun, whatever you want to call the deck. This is just my version of the build and how I prefer to play the deck. But I just wanted to get this out there and kind of give those who are interested, maybe want to try the deck out. This is just my guide to how I built it, how I played it. What luck have you had with Biollante? Now, I will say Biollante is one of those that is... Your opponent's not going to have a very good time playing against this. Obviously, you're a control deck. You're just kind of counter, very defensive. And rage is very important for that. Don't think that because you're going for the strategy, for the counter, you need a bunch of battle cards. You need to be able to survive. Because if you're going against the mirror, you need to be big enough to not be countered yourself. Let me know your thoughts below. What do you think about Biollante? Have you had any luck with it? Or have you even tried the deck yet? Have you faced off against it? Biollante, one of my favorite ones, I think, that came out. If not my favorite that came out of set 2. I thought Ghidorah would be my main, but I've just been having so much fun with Biollante, and it's one of those that I've been tempted to run it back at locals. I'm probably going to bring it the next one just to run it again. I finally got rid out of my system playing Shin to no luck, but thank you for sticking around so much. Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully this helps some of you out there that are thinking about running the Flower Girl. Hopefully this helps some of you out, and hope you guys come back for the next one.